Beverly Hills was where I met you. Driving the 1990 red coupe, hands in the air and music blasting, and my heart was pounding, wind in my hair and we were laughing, and all of the questions you were asking, making me feel like it was just us, and my mind was racing, never had love before I saw you, never had lost before I loved you. And did you learn to run from nothing? You could be my extra something. Just you and me here in this motel, wishing that we wouldn't grow older. 3 a.m. talks on Sunday morning, with your arms around me, wanted to stay here in this moment, try to stop time until it's frozen. You had me falling from the first look, and now you've got me hooked. Never had love before I saw you, never had lost before I loved you. And did you learn to run from nothing? You could be my extra something.
drinking Kool-Aid cameras like I did when I was 9. Cause I like to pretend that I haven't lost the time. In the end, the nostalgia, though it tastes fine, I can only drink a couple cause it feels like a lie. We'd play Halo and we'd lay low in our basement until the sun began to rise. We would go to school but not learn too much, cause it's hard to read when you've got tired eyes. Months go by, the time it flies, past the days that we drink Kool-Aid in the summertime. Years go by, the time it flies, past the days that we drink Kool-Aid in the summertime. They've been with me for some time, and it's nice to know that they still by my side. Friends are like stars, cause no matter how far, when it's dark outside, they will be your light. We'd play Halo and we'd lay low in our basement until the sun began to rise. We would go to school but not learn too much, cause it's hard to read when you've got tired eyes. Months go by, the time it flies, past the days that we drink Kool-Aid in the summertime. Years go by, the time it flies, past the days that we drink Kool-Aid in the summertime. something crazy. So we can
What is up, Level Up Nation, and welcome to the Thursday edition of Level Up Live. It is February 25th, and of course, you're watching here live on Twitch. If not, you're listening to the podcast version to your home for gaming, for news of gaming and esports news. I slaughtered that opening, Joey. And of course, all of it's brought to you by OTN Media. My name is Fiasco, which perfectly describes that opening, but you can call me John, and I am joined by the king of the courtside. His name is Joey, if I'm reading my notes correctly. Joey, how are you today?
I'm doing well, John. Guys, those of you live with us, those listening to the podcast later, it has been quite a week, not only for gaming and esports, but for John and I as well. I have had a very, very busy week job-wise. So we've got all that going on. On top of that, John, they just keep dropping events out of nowhere. We got the Nintendo Direct with like a 1 to 2 day notice last week. This week, we got the same thing with Sony and their State of Play. It just feels like everyone's dropping this last minute gaming news. It's popping off. Tons of viewers joining for all of those. But for those of us here who have day jobs and are trying to get notes and everything all summed up for you guys, it has made it a little difficult these last couple weeks.
Joey, no excuses. Our big boy jobs should not be getting in the way of gaming and esports news, as much as I would love to abide by that rule. Yeah, I'm going to be happy when this week is over. I think I speak for both of us when I say that. It has been one heck of a week. Nation, if you want to know how great of a week it has been, I'm just kidding. We used to talk about gaming and esports on this stuff. Make sure you follow the show on social media. Level Up Live is available on Twitter and Facebook at Level Up Live. That's at LVLUP Live. And while you're on Twitter, you're already watching us. You're already listening to us. You might as well be following us on social media as well. On Twitter, follow Joey at Courtside King, myself at Fiasco. If you're watching here on Twitch, welcome as always, Twitch fam. You can find those handles below those mugshots you're currently staring at. And if you listen on to the podcast version of the show later on down the road, they'll be in the show notes for you below. And Nation, as always, if you are listening to the podcast version of the show, we do request reviews and ratings because we do like to make the show the best show possible for you, our viewers and listeners. So do leave us a review. And where can you leave those reviews? On your podcatcher of choice. We're on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. So when you do have a moment, shoot us a cool little note there to let us know what you think of the show. And feedback is always welcomed. All right, Joey. It's Thursday. It is Friday Eve. I am already looking forward to the weekend. I am looking forward to sleeping in. I'm looking forward to playing more video games, watching esports. But there's some other really cool topics we're going to be talking about today other than what I'm going to be doing Saturday morning. So, Joey, what are we talking about today on the Thursday edition here on the 25th of February edition of Level Up Live?
Absolutely, John. Talking just briefly about Starfield a little bit, the next title coming out of that Bethesda studio that a lot of people are highly awaiting. We're diving a bit into the Halo TV series and a few changes coming to that. Amazon Luna, Google Stadia got a lot of talk a couple weeks ago, a couple episodes ago. Now we're going to dive a bit more into Amazon Luna. Sony's Japan studio has gone some major changes. We'll be diving into that, as well as their recent State of Play that happened later this afternoon. From there, jumping around a little bit about some game delays here and there, a couple other things, some new demos out. John, there's a lot of gaming news. We're covering just about everything under the sun today. We have 3 or 4 pages of notes. We're going to dive through it the best we can.
All right, Joe, we have a ton to talk about today. It's been a long week, which means we're going to need some assistance today on the Thursday edition. Joey, I'm going to be honest with you up front. For the drink of choice, mine is not that impressive. I am just ready for the weekend because if I cracked open an adult beverage, we might be giving another political endorsement like we did in the first 50 episodes there for the Chancellor of Denmark or whatever it was. Joey, your beverage of choice for the last show of February in 2021.
Gosh, Sean, when you put it that way, I feel so disappointed in myself. I did not have a chance to make a mixed drink, guys. We barely got these notes done before the show started, so I'm just drinking a Pellegrino tonight. Nothing super special. It is flavored. I don't really know what flavor. Dark Morello cherry and pomegranate is what we're going with tonight. Unfortunately, no alcohol. I could have drank it by the handle, but I figured, even though you guys probably want that, that's not what I ended up doing tonight.
Yeah, I did not crack a handle open. I do have my 1, 2, 3, 7, 12, 13, 18 bottles of liquor over here. That if I cracked any one of them open, I may not stop. I'm just ready for this weekend to be over. So, Joey, Mountain Dew Major Melon, the pink version of Mountain Dew, the watermelon flavor version, if you will, freaking fantastic. Absolutely love it. Chat, flame us for our drinks all you want. One day you will understand. So, Joey, we have our lame non-alcoholic beverages for today's episode. Let's get right into the rest of the episode. Let's get right into gaming and esports news. Let's go.
Oh, chat wants you to pull out your special drink coming up here in the next episode or so.
Drink the ghost pepper. Ooh, I don't know if I want to drink that on stream.
Oh, I think that would be fun on
That'd
stream.
That'd be terrible.
I think it could be a great experience, Sean.
First off,
it'll be a spicy take, one could even say, with a ghost pepper infused into there.
Vodka burns already as it is. When you add ghost pepper to it, look, it was a gag gift. I'm not okay. Fine, I'll take a shot. I'm not going to tell you when,
pepper.
But I will.
Vodka's like water, John. Come on, it'll be great.
You take a shot too, then.
Oh, I'll take a shot of vodka. I could drink.
No.
Great.
Ghost pepper vodka.
Oh, see, now that's different. I have salt with ghost pepper infused in it. Maybe I could do a rim.
No, I will drive by your house. I will pour you a shot, and it will sit there on camera because I don't trust you before the show, and then we'll take a shot together. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, I'm down. I think that would be fun. I think that would probably burn quite a bit depending on how ripe that ghost pepper was. But yeah, could be a fun experience for the show. But John, that's not the only thing we're talking about tonight. We have a lot on the list here. One other spicy take, it kind of goes with that pepper theme, is Curry. Curry will be joining T1 as their new Valorant player to the roster. He previously played for Ranked Stars. He left them in December 2020, now making his way over to T1. Again, not the biggest of moves out there. I don't feel like Curry is a huge name player, but again, it's T1 continuing to try out the Valorant scene, dive a bit into these younger players as well, see what potential they potentially have to bring to that main roster. So T1, again, not afraid to really dive in and try out new talent, not afraid to move veteran talent around either. Curry, the next one, getting a chance with that T1 team. Moving to a couple acquisitions before we dive into some more spicy stuff. Bandai Namco has acquired a minority stake in Limbic Entertainment. For those of you who don't know what Limbic Entertainment is, they do Might and Magic Legacy is one of their games. Tropico 6, I think, is probably their most recent game that came out. So El Presidente is back, and Bandai Namco potentially looking to become the El Presidente over there at Limbic Entertainment with a minority stake now being purchased.
Yeah, Bandai Namco hopping in on the acquisition as well. Too bad in the terms of acquisitions, this is a very small splash.
Yeah, very small splash. This next one's a even smaller splash in my opinion, but it is a company that continues to make a bunch of small splashes that this puddle is quickly becoming almost a river, just the amount of money flowing down it at the moment. That is Tencent. They've acquired a minority stake in Payload Studios, the development behind Terra Tech. John, I have never played Terra Tech. Do you know what that is?
I have not played Terra Tech myself.
We have not played Terra Tech. If Squirkle's in chat, it feels like something he might dive into here and there. It's a vehicle building sandbox style game. So it looks cool. I've dove a bit into the graphic style of it. It's on Steam, Xbox, and PlayStation currently. I don't really know too much about the studio though, so I don't know if they are developing other games currently. I would assume with something like this coming in, Terra Tech is either growing quite a bit on a month-by-month basis or a year-over-year number-wise. I think the other thing to look at here is possibly what's in development that is unannounced as of yet. Tencent being one of those companies that really likes to get into people early, especially with minority shares. So I have a feeling they know some of those projects currently happening behind the scenes over there at Payload as well. Last acquisition of the night, John. This is probably my favorite one to talk about. This is HP. They have gone out there and done something I did not expect them to, but I think it's a great purchase overall. They have acquired HyperX for $425 million. I was about to say I'm wearing a HyperX, but I'm not. It's actually over there. When I play on the Xbox, I typically wear my HyperX headset. It's a Cloud 2. It's great. Good mic quality, solid ear cups. Everything feels pretty good about it. Traveling wise, it travels very well. So HyperX products, and they also do mice, they do keyboards, pretty much any kind of gaming peripheral, but their headsets are really what they're known for. With HP looking to do more in gaming, they've done it with their Omen monitors. We've seen them developing VR as well, continuing to look in different avenues of how they can get more involved in the gaming space. purchasing someone like HyperX as opposed to trying to make a competing product seems like a great move from my perspective for HP to do. And I really like this pickup of HyperX.
Yeah, so HP's Omen series is really good, first off. Joe, you and I both have HP Omen monitors. They are fantastic. They are absolutely great. Have zero complaints with it. HP wants to do more with their Omen line. By acquiring HyperX, yes, HyperX is mainly known for their headphones, but their periffs are really starting to make a name for themselves. We're seeing a lot of big name organizations switch from like a Logitech to a HyperX. That says a lot. Now, HyperX being acquired by HP, that means possibly the Omen line is now going to continue into the periph market through what HyperX has accomplished with their mice and their keyboards. That is absolutely massive for HP. That's really, trying to do more in that gaming space. Again, well known now for their Omen monitors. Now we're going to use this acquisition of HyperX to expand their Omen series into the periph market as well. And I think it's a huge, massive win for HP. It's a win for HyperX also, but I feel like for HP, this is a great, great move to really expand that Omen line to really make a bigger splash in the market.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a deal that a lot of people didn't see coming, or I guess with HyperX involved here coming. It's one of those things that kind of took people by surprise, but I think it fits in most people's minds with HP looking to invest more in that gaming space, with HyperX looking to continue to expand their lines. In a sense, it's a marriage made in heaven. You throw your monitor in there, maybe you throw a deal with a HyperX keyboard and a mouse or a headset, combo it all together. It looks like a nice package overall. I think it's a great acquisition. Over to some more partnerships and investments. We have Bethesda teaming up with the Make-A-Wish Foundation to add a Bethesda Games bundle to the auction. So why is this important? There's obviously lots of different charities out there that use gaming as a different item, whether it be auctions, giveaways, etc. Gaming always seems to be a part of a lot of these big auctions. This one in particular is important because it involves Starfield. Starfield is that IP from Bethesda, the next potentially Fallout, Elder Scrolls, something we're looking forward to seeing more of. Lots of rumors of when it's going to drop, if it's late 2021, early 2022, maybe even farther than that. Lots of question marks. But one thing Bethesda does is they don't really do too much branding around something. They give a little teaser trailer here and there, but they don't tell you much about whatever's coming until it's getting closer and closer to coming. So now with this one in particular, they actually use the Starfield logo on the branding. Now, again, it could just be a logo because there's so much hype going around out there. But with Bethesda, historically, they don't use logos like that unless they're getting closer and closer to a launch. So a lot of people speculating that means we'll see more of Starfield here soon, whether it be at the Welcome to the Family event in March, later on in June, when it comes to E3 or Summer Game Fest or whatever they end up attending. That's another thing to keep in mind here. Now, with this bundle, there's also a design a new character for Starfield, which is a great concept. I think this is really cool. How do you get in here? You get the full Bethesda library, you get an Xbox Series X, and you get a chance at designing this character. John, this character, supposedly, if you look at the fine print, it will be completed by the end of June. So the person wins the bundle. Bethesda has 2 to 3 months to design this character. Why put a deadline of the end of June is something interesting here. To me, again, this is a little bit of speculation, a little bit of playing off rumors that I've heard here and there. I think this means we're getting closer and closer to the Starfield launch, which I really do think comes out here at the end of 2021.
Yeah. And also it's kind of cool. How awesome would it be if you were able to create your own character that gets put into the game for everyone? It's really kind of neat. It's like, again, don't even know if we're allowed to say his name on Twitch. But Dr. Disrespect, when he got a skin inside of Rogue Company, that was absolutely massive. He got a whole level. Like, who wouldn't want that? Like, that's absolutely incredible. I think this is a really, really cool pairing here with Bethesda and Make-A-Wish Foundation. Make-A-Wish Foundation is absolutely incredible. I love seeing Bethesda team up with them, and what an amazing way to leave a mark, not just on a video game, but on millions of people playing this video game. I think this is so, so cool, having a character added into a video game as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Something unique, something different than you usually see with these bundles. But on top of that, the use of that Starfield branding, the use of that date there in the fine print, I think it's something to really look forward to. And possibly, again, it's speculation, it's rumor here and there, if it will actually come out here in 2021. But I think I don't know if I'd call it proof. That might still be a stretch. But I think it's a few more breadcrumbs to lead you to that trail of a potential 2021 launch for Starfield later this year. The NHL has announced a multi-year deal with DreamHack Sports Games to operate its NHL Gaming World Championship competitions. John, this is huge for the NHL. We've known for a while that they're looking to explore more and more into esports. We saw it with Caps Gaming here in the Washington Capitals. That brand continued to really push the NHL esports scene forward. They've done a lot of things on the 1v1 level. We've seen them do 3v3 competitions. We've seen them do the 6v6 competition as well, continuing to go out there and really branch out the scene and continue to expand the level of competition available for those Chell players. Now, on a whole nother scale here, you have the NHL Gaming World Championship. How can that event continue to improve? How can it continue to grow? This is one way to do that. You pair up with someone like DreamHack, who's extremely well known in the esports and sports space, now having the ability to work with them hand-on and to do it for a multi-year deal. It's not a simple one-year trial, a 2-year trial. We're looking at a full multi-year contract where they can continue to build on this as a partnership. I really like this move, and I think it's huge for NHL esports.
Yeah, the NHL Gaming World Championship is absolutely massive. The NHL esports scene, up to a few years ago, this was really all that they had. Like there weren't a lot of NHL clubs doing anything. It was a group of gamers that needed a bigger scene, needed some organization that had the passion, the drive, and the motivation behind it. And then within 2.5, 3 years ago, it just started blowing up left and right. I could not be any happier for the Chell scene to partner up with DreamHack. It's absolutely massive. It's going to make the GWC even better. It's going to make that scene even better. I am waiting for the day where there is a league in the NHL with all teams represented, kind of like what we see with the NBA 2K League. And there's a full 5v5 or 6v6, including goalie if you want, virtual esport league for the NHL. I think it would be fantastic. The community, I feel like, is ready for it or will be ready for it by the time the NHL would put it together. It's going to be massive. I'm really, really excited for the NHL and DreamHack with this new update.
Absolutely. Definitely setting that foot forward, looking future focus here. Again, with it being a multi-year deal, it allows both of them to continue to build on that partnership and continue it on for a while. Hopefully seeing growth both in spectator numbers, competition numbers, really prize pool growth as well. As all that comes together, it really allows for that more growth potential for the Chell scene as a whole, and hopefully more competitions popping up as well. The upcoming Halo TV series, John, this is one we've talked about a little bit here and there. They did resume filming, I believe, in November of 2020. They now have a new launch date, a new platform, and all of that goodness coming early 2022. Previously, John, this is a series that has gone through a lot of development issues. It was supposed to launch around the time of Halo 5, which is many years ago at this point. I think that was like 2015, 2016. Now we see it getting delayed. We see it getting delayed again. And then eventually you have it filming. It's looking good with stars. And then it gets delayed due to COVID. And then there's a director changeover just prior to that. So this is something that's been in development for a very long time. It seems to be a theme with video game movies and TV shows that there's a lot of director turnover. There's a lot of delays. Again, COVID-19 adding an extra one onto this one. But it's something that's pretty common here when it comes to cinematics within movies or within games moving into the movie or TV realm. Now, with this one, I want to say this is it. I think this is the stable move. I think it actually happens at this point. With Paramount Plus as a new platform, they're going to look to continue to push it forward. They want big name series on it. They want to bring people in. What better way to do that than something like Halo? You come out. How big at this point, 500 plus million. So you're looking at a huge IP, something that's sold many, many million copies, 81 million copies of the game itself, if you look at the course of the series. So it does extremely well. Paramount trying to sell this new service, bringing something like this over, could have a huge impact. Now, again, anything with major delays like this, John, that has had 5 years of development makes both me and you pretty nervous. So I am anxious to see how this one actually ends up doing, but I'm glad that we finally have what feels like a more secure date and platform here with Paramount Plus starting in early 2022.
Yeah, and so with Paramount Plus, just to give an update there on that, that's actually going to be the new name of CBS All Access. So if you already have a CBS subscription, they're just rebranding it to Paramount Plus because they're looking to be all inclusive of their entire overall packaging, if you will, their entire corporation. bringing that in here. So if you already have a CBS All Access streaming service, then it becomes Paramount Plus here in the next couple of weeks. So just pay attention to that as well. And actually, they're going to be offering better rates. So take a look at that too if you want to possibly save $1 or $2 a month if you're collecting streaming services, which I feel like is just like Pokemon cards. They're popping up everywhere and you got to collect them all. And who needs cable anymore, Joey? Cut the cord.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I think people are going to have to start making choices on eventually. I mean, you have Hulu out there, you have YouTube with both their TV style shows, you have CBS now becoming Paramount Plus. Obviously, Disney Plus has been popping off. I think it's over 100 million subscribers at this point. I mean, Netflix is out there, Crunchyroll for the anime fans. Then on top of that, you have these other subscriptions like Xbox Live, PlayStation Plus, Xbox Game Pass. Ubisoft has Ubisoft Connect or Uplay. EA has EA Play, or if you're on PC, they have the whole Origin line as well. So it feels like everything in entertainment right now is looking at a subscription, whether it's TV, movies, video games, music. I mean, you have subscriptions there too with Apple Music and Spotify. The entertainment industry at the moment is pretty much run by subscriptions. So it's one of those decisions that people are going to have to make as they move forward. If they want to check out Halo, though, they'll now need to do that on the CBS Access, becoming Paramount Plus here. Again, we're aiming at an early 2022 launch, it sounds like. But this is a series that was initially looking at something like 2015, 2016. So grain of salt on that one, guys. I think it'll happen this time, but you never quite know. Over to Amazon Luna, their boss, Mark Whitten, has left the company just a mere 5 months after Luna's initial reveal. John, this is looking great. Amazon really shooting for the moon on this one, now losing their director of gaming over there for Amazon's Luna product. John, I hate to say it, but it's looking a lot like what we saw with Google Stadia. They come out a little bit early, it feels like, trying to push their weight up against someone like a Microsoft before they launch Project xCloud. Amazon waited until the launch of Project xCloud, came out with Luna. Well, I guess Luna was developed right before. I think it was July or August that it got announced. xCloud moved into full release in late August, early September. So a little bit of a difference time lap there compared to Google Stadia. But overall, it seems to be following that same track. Google Stadia just shut down internal studios. Amazon, they didn't shut them down yet, but Crucible absolutely bombed. Back in May, it got pulled back into its beta phase and then eventually canceled altogether. New World, there's promising things happening about it, but it just got delayed again as well. Now, again, I think COVID is a huge factor of that. But when we look at it overall, these cloud gaming services coming out, Microsoft's xCloud is doing very well. NVIDIA GeForce now is doing extremely well. You look at Google Stadia, they're shutting down internal studios. They're having some deals fall through. They have developers not happy with them. Amazon Luna, we haven't heard as much negative feedback on that part, but it's also not publicly available yet either. So it's one of those things that already losing a director, not even being fully publicly available yet, kind of makes me a little shaky with this one, just as Google Stadia did.
Yeah, it's another tough blow to Amazon. It's not a bad thing when we see other companies want to try to dive into this area when it comes to gaming. But it is bad when something like a Google and something like an Amazon just can't do it. Like, these are two companies worth a lot more than a ton of companies combined that are already doing this, and they just can't get it right. It's definitely not a good look if you're Google. I mean, Stadia has been an absolute disaster. Now Amazon, it's another blow to what you're trying to do in the video game and game streaming market. It's tough. It's not a good look, and we'll see what happens after this. But if you're an Amazon fanboy out there and you're happy to see them get involved in video games and just the gaming industry, this is not a good look.
Not only that, but it worries me too. Like, if I'm someone who's looking to get into cloud-based gaming, if I want to go buy a cloud-based gaming platform, now you have Stadia not making first-party titles anymore. They're still doing third-party deals supposedly, but you have developers mad at them, like Terraria's developer. So it's not looking too pretty. Then over in the Amazon territory, Amazon, backed by Jeff Bezos, who's done extremely well. And yes, he's not there anymore. But it's one of those things that, okay, Amazon as a company looks great. They've done a lot of really good things as far as getting market share in different areas, and they've really overcome and dominated certain companies, depending how you look at that, good or bad. But they seem to, everything they touch turns to gold in a sense when it comes to their product lines. So you have a little bit more faith in Amazon. Luna's looking pretty good. But then you hear something like this where they've lost their developer and it's not even 6 months after the launch. That's kind of nerve-wracking a little bit. Then on the other side, you have someone like Microsoft with xCloud. They've been out for a while now. They're doing extremely well. It's only on Android. It hasn't even launched on PC and iOS yet, but they're pulling in millions of people playing it. It's doing extremely well in Asia, especially. On top of that, you already have that Microsoft catalog being adapted to it, both on a backwards compatibility point. You have your console streaming option, and you have these new games from the first party with their 23 some studios out there, depending who they've bought or sold at this point. And it's just a big catalog. It's huge. And then you have NVIDIA over there, who's friends with just about everyone in the industry. NVIDIA and GeForce Now is arguably one of the best cloud platforms out there as far as availability goes, not only based on country availability, but based on game availability as well. Yeah, you've seen some titles get pulled here and there from it, but overall, a lot of things are available on NVIDIA GeForce Now. So of those three, I'm looking much more toward the Microsoft side or of the NVIDIA side. I'm not really looking much at the Google Stadia side or the Amazon Luna side. And I think that's the biggest take back now because they want to invest more into this space. They might even want to acquire more developers. But the trust side of the customer, as well as those developers, seeing this big giant company come into the industry, they don't really have much legging there. They don't really have much of a relationship there yet. And they're trying to come in and take over. And it just seems like they're not quite fitting in just yet. And it seems like Google realized that a little bit earlier and decided to cut some funding, which is a bummer because I'd love to see more competition stay around. But now with Amazon, I don't want to say they're following suit because the director left, but it doesn't really make me feel super stable about the Amazon Luna product as a consumer at the moment. Anything else to say about Amazon Luna and their way to shooting to the moon, sir?
Shooting to the moon or shooting themselves in the foot?
Yeah, it's kind of like a rocket that takes off and just doesn't quite make it out of the atmosphere is what we're witnessing at the moment. Yeah. I hope they get things together. I think competition is good for the... Over to Sony's Japan studio. This is another one, John. So we have a lot of big positive news for PlayStation this week. Sony and PlayStation let out some pretty good stuff. We'll be diving into that. But first, we have to touch something that's not quite so good on the Sony side. A lot of Sony fans not happy about this, especially those in Japan. So Sony is winding down original game development at their Japan studio after the studio reportedly was not being profitable enough for Sony in recent years. On top of that, there are some big names leaving. One in particular, the Bloodborne producer Masaki has left the studio. A big name over there, Bloodborne being one of those really big titles for Sony and for that particular studio. Now no longer carrying on. Again, the title still retains in that area, so they could still make more Bloodborne games. In fact, there are rumors that one is in development, but your big producer is now moving on to somewhere else that is no longer Sony Japan. Last but not least, the Asobi team, who is the mind behind Astro Bot, successful game that came out with the PS5 launch. They're going to continue on as a standalone studio. And on top of that, some of the Sony Japan staff that are currently in that bigger studio will move over to that team, the Asobi team as well. So overall, John, I'm bummed by this. It's one of those things, especially Sony being based out of Japan initially. You would hope that they'd put a little bit more into their Japanese game elements, continue to build a little bit more of where they originally came from. But instead, we are seeing them wind down a bit because the profits just aren't quite there.
Yeah, and we're going to see more companies have to make tough decisions like this. We saw Activision Blizzard shut down their headquarters based in France, roughly citing the same thing, profitability and just overall expenses. It's definitely upsetting to see. You don't want your original game developing studio to shut down. It doesn't send a great signal to investors, to gamers, to anybody. It's a really tough time, and a lot of these companies have to make these tough decisions. Who knows? They might be able to bring it back one day, but unfortunately, this is a big blow to Sony's game development going forward.
Yeah, and I think the biggest part of it is just that heritage that's there with Sony being a Japan-based company initially. Again, they've moved different headquarters, and we've talked about it before. Like they have a new one in California as well at this point. So they're looking a bit more Western-focused. With that being said, losing that heritage, losing that tradition from that Japanese culture, I think is a little bit of a loss for the company, and especially the gamers over there in Japan. With Xbox continuing to grow and the Microsoft resemblance growing a little bit over there, obviously the Nintendo Switch worldwide absolutely popping off month over month. I think now some of those gamers maybe consider a little bit different. Now, again, Final Fantasy is still going to be on Sony. Kingdom Hearts will still be on Sony platforms. PlayStation is still going to come out with very, very strong games, but losing some of that Japanese influence with this particular studio will hurt them a bit, I think, with the Japanese audience. Again, not a ton. PlayStation's still uber competitive and very, very popular over there, but I do think it is a little bit of a dagger to those fans. Sony has confirmed that a next-gen VR system is in the works for PS5. John, this one a little bit more exciting. It's going to support a single-cord connection along with a number of enhancements to the current product. It's going to include a new VR controller. Fun fact about this controller, it's going to have some of those new, I don't know exact features, but I'm thinking like the adaptive triggers, some of that pulse sensations that you do have on that new DualSense controller that ships with the PS5. And on top of that, they did say that it will not be launching this year. I think that's a very important piece to hold, especially with people getting their expectations up so high currently. We saw it with the Nintendo briefing. Everyone wanted that Zelda Trio package, or everyone wanted more Breath of the Wild 2 trailer action, or everyone wants Metroid 4. Then with the Sony one today, people are disappointed because they didn't get some of these supposed leaks that were out there. So I think expectations right now in the industry for gamers are a little bit higher than they need to be, especially given the times and all the development issues currently going on with COVID-19 and the international pandemic. So I do like that Sony coming out with this. One, it's great to announce it. It's great to get gamers excited, but I think it's good to set expectations as well, stating that it will not be coming out this year. They didn't give a definitive date, but saying not this year, I think is enough to keep people a little bit of a heads up so they don't get their hopes up too much at every single showcase the rest of the year.
Yeah, I think everyone should be excited that, next gen VR system is going to be coming out on the PlayStation 5. But I agree with you. I think it's a good thing that they kind of cooled the expectations by not getting a lot of people excited for it coming out this year. And let's be honest here. Most of the people who want a PlayStation 5 cannot get a PlayStation 5 right now because they do not exist on the shelves of your local store or online because, yeah, good luck. You just can't get it. You can't even get an Xbox anywhere. So, yeah, I mean, it's not like, be disappointed all you want. It's not like you can get the VR unit because you don't even have a PS5 yet. Calm down.
Sorry, I'm just updating my Discord status. I realized I did not put the show in there.
How dare you?
Because we were so far behind because Sony didn't give us a big heads up on their state of play, John. That is why Level Up audience who's live with us tonight and those listening later in the podcast. By the way, review the show. We absolutely appreciate those. 5-star or 4-star would be much appreciated.
Are you saying Sony's the reason why we're having an off day on the show today?
I'm just saying Sony throwing that in there was definitely a little bit of a monkey wrench for half an hour of my day that is a little too scheduled out this Thursday. But hey, we've made it to the show. We got some notes done. And with that, we're going to dive into our next bit, which is more PlayStation news. This one a little bit more for the PC audience, and I think this is a big deal. We've been talking about it on Level Up for, I feel like, over a year at this point, now becoming more and more official with a big person like Jim Ryan making it confirmed in a statement. PlayStation's Jim Ryan has confirmed that more PS games will be heading to PC with Days Gone next in line. This one is set to release sometime in the spring. I don't think they gave a definitive date, but PlayStation does shift their seasonal windows a little bit. So I would say even spring could include June, but I would think somewhere in that April to June window. We'll keep an eye out for that one. But again, this is big and promising for PC gamers. Sony's just known for really great first-person experiences, or third-person experiences, but first single-player games is what I'm trying to say. It was just really good adventure games, particularly in that third-person action-adventure genre. Horizon Zero Dawn launched on PC, did extremely well on Steam. It was in the top 5 for, I feel like, almost a month after launch. It did very, very well. God of War, if it eventually comes to PC, will obviously absolutely pop off as a huge selling title for the PlayStation console. Now you have Days Gone. My expectations for Days Gone are less than what they are for Horizon Zero Dawn doing it on PC, but I think it is, again, another big title, another flagship title that PlayStation will continue to test those PC waters with. And as we move forward, I think more and more games will get offered there as well.
Joey, can you hear that in the distance?
Oh, please enlighten me.
The screeching, the crying, the tears of the PlayStation fanboys, like screeching because their titles are no longer console exclusive. They might be going to the dreaded PC gamers. My gosh, Joey. I
hate that argument. It tilts me like, guys, if you're having such amazing games, if you're loving your God of War or your The Last of Us Part 2 or Ghost of Tsushima or whatever game you're playing, Uncharted is another popular one that always gets thrown around. it's okay for other gamers to play it.
No, it's
And
not.
one, it's not like it's going to Xbox or Nintendo. If it's going to like a direct competitor, I think it's a little bit of a different story. Like if you see God of War or Halo going vice versa, God of War to Xbox or Halo to PlayStation, then I think that raises some red flags. Like, ooh, what is going on with the company I support the most? Now, PlayStation fanboys, it going to PC is only going to help you out in the long run. Yes, a few less people might buy PlayStation consoles, God willing, then I don't think it'll be the end of the world. I think one of the other big things is the players. Like, think of Uncharted. If Uncharted picks up, I don't know, 15 million more players on PC, for example, just a random number, then those developers are going to have more money coming in. So your developing is going to be supported a little bit more. PlayStation is going to feel even better about that franchise. So what's going to happen? One, your developers are going to get paid more money, which is going to make your developers more happy, potentially, depending how you look at happiness. That's a lot deeper topic than here for Level Up. But more money tends to lead to more smiles here and there within the gaming industry. And on top of that, that means Sony gives them a little bit more of a relaxed overhead. They might not pressure them as much for dates or deliveries or different things like that. They can be a bit more relaxed. They can be a bit more adventurous. In the end, more gamers playing your game, more gamers supporting a development studio typically leads to good things for that development studio and that IP. If you guys want to just keep it to PlayStation, that's fine, but I don't see any issues moving it to PC as well. Now with Sony, I think it's going to be different than Xbox. Xbox is releasing day one on PC and on console and potentially on cloud when it eventually launches completely. I think with PlayStation, we do see a delay there, John. I don't know what they'll look at. I would estimate probably 6 months to a year is what our delay will be. It could be a little shorter at 3 months, could be a little bit longer at 9 months. Don't really know. But I think that is one thing that knowing Sony and knowing that their main entry point is that PlayStation console, they're going to push people to that console with some kind of limited delay. I do think that will be the case. But again, not confirmed out there. All we know at the moment is Days Gone is the next title, and there will be more titles coming to PC as well.
But Joey, here is your late-breaking QAnon conspiracy theory. Joey, follow the rabbit hole. PlayStation develops a game for PlayStation console. PlayStation game from PlayStation console gets shipped out over to PC. PC. What's the number one operating system in the world for PC? Windows. Windows. Wait a minute. They control Xbox. Joey, everything on PlayStation to Xbox confirmed through this QAnon rabbit hole conspiracy theory, because that makes as much sense as every PlayStation fanboy out there crying at night as they clutch onto their PS2 controller, as they snuggle it in bed thinking about the good old times before Xbox existed, before PC gaming became the master gaming console that it is. Thinking of the good old times when PlayStation and PlayStation 2 were the best and only best console gaming center out there. Joey, fanboys tick me off. Like I give you crap for being an Xbox shill. That's more in jest than anything. I like Sony. I've been in the PlayStation family for eons, it feels like. And I'm even sick and tired of the PlayStation fanboys getting ticked off about this. I 100% agree with everything you said. In the long run, this is good for the developers. This is good for the gamers. This is good for the game you enjoy playing. So please, dry your tears. Nobody cares about them, PlayStation fanboys. And just go back to being quiet and play on your PlayStation 5. Because we all know you're not going to play on the PC, so it doesn't matter. Play your damn game on your console and leave it there.
I mean, I hate to say it, John, but like as crazy of a theory as you just made there with the whole Windows to Xbox connection, you're not even seeing that with these particular fanboys. The argument is purely these games should only be on PlayStation. No one should be able to play them anywhere else. Like, guys, share your games. That's what gaming is supposed to be about, bringing people together, giving shared experiences, allowing you to have an experience you couldn't have in your normal life. It tilts me. It's just like, I just don't understand why people are so closed gate on this. Now, I get it. You're going to have this on the Xbox side. You're going to have it on the PlayStation side. You might have it on the Nintendo side, but I highly doubt Mario is ever going to go anywhere else. The closest thing might be Fortnite, if ever. But it's one of those things that's like, guys, it's just an unnecessary argument. It's not hurting your platform. You can still play your games. If anything, you have one more option of where to play that game. Sony's going to make money. Don't worry about that. They have plenty of money coming in. If anything, those developers and Sony will make even more money off of you. It's just like, It's a useless argument, and it comes from so many different angles on so many different sides. And games going to PC is not going to hurt anyone. Yes, you might sell a few less consoles, whoop-de-doo, but you're going to sell so many more games because of that move that it's going to make up so much for those consoles, which already sell at a loss to begin with. So from any kind of standpoint you want to take, it definitely makes sense to move them to PC. Okay, John, with that, we have to dive into PlayStation State of Play. It did happen this afternoon. It was a half-an-hour showcase. It showed it was exactly 10 games, just as they had prescribed. A lot of people not feeling super good about this showcase, John. Again, I think it's similar to what we saw with Nintendo, where I don't think it was a bad showcase. I think people just get their expectations up too high. People are coming in here hoping to see that Silent Hill that's rumored. We're hoping to see other remakes that have been rumored here and there. Me in particular, I actually thought they were going to show at least one of the remakes. Because it did feel a little bit lackluster at times. You saw a lot of cross-platform games, which again, I don't think I would have put into a small showcase like this. But they did dive a little bit into them and give some specifics for PlayStation. I think last but not least is the whole God of War Horizon. What is it? Horizon Forbidden West. I think one of those being shown could have happened, but again, people got their hopes up way too high for it. I think a lot of people were expecting a lot of new things to drop, and they didn't really get many of those things.
Yeah. I made a joke about it on Twitter. I went to set the bar incredibly low. I even found a GIF of someone trying to limbo with the pole like 3 inches off the ground. That's how low the bar was. Joey, I am here to report that I was still underwhelmed by PlayStation State of Play. With as low of a bar as I set, I was not blown away. I was not excited. I sat here on my couch watching it on YouTube on my TV, and I'm just like, I am okay. I mean, I'm not excited. I'm not disappointed. I'm just very, okay, that happened. You know, I wouldn't call it a success by any means, but I wouldn't call it a failure either. I think it was just very average. And when you're going up against Xbox, that's not good. But yeah. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those things, though. Like, we haven't seen anything from Xbox, so we say it's not good, mainly because Xbox has kind of had a little bit of momentum recently. But Nintendo, again, being that top-selling console, it feels like month after month, almost every region, and they had a somewhat mediocre, whatever it's called, Nintendo Direct. And a lot of that was their first Nintendo Direct in over a year. People are like, "Ooh, new Zelda, all these big new games," and they just didn't quite deliver in that area. Similar to PlayStation here. I got what I wanted, John. I did hope they were going to show at least a little bit more. I was hoping they'd give one of those new exclusive games. I was hoping maybe a little trailer or something for Horizon Forbidden West, maybe even a God of War. We're going to delay it to 2022 announcement. It just felt like one of those things that we should have got something else at, especially with the hype they gave it. Unfortunately, not quite there. But I did get Returnal. I think Returnal looks like an awesome exclusive. That one's coming out from Housemarque. Every time you die and restart the map, an enemy kind of spawns and changes a little bit differently. Third-person horror thriller shooter type of game. It looks good. Graphically, it looks pretty intensive. Gameplay, to me, kind of looked a little bit like Anthem at times. At other times, a little bit more like something like The Medium that recently came out with a little bit of that horror aspect to it. So I think it looks good, and I think it's one of those exclusives that Sony fans can be proud of. The other one I was really hoping to see, and it's honestly up there for like one of the indie titles of the year for me, is Kena Bridge of Spirits. That game looks phenomenal. It kind of reminds me a little bit like the art style of Disney's Raya that's coming out next month. It also kind of has that feeling of almost like Pikmin from the Nintendo days. A little bit of that collecting with these little, this particular game, it's like these little black fuzzball guys. Really cute, really fun game. Graphically, it looks super awesome. The flow of combat and everything looks really smooth. So I think this is definitely one to keep an eye on. And this was the other one I was hoping to see today. Then last but not least, the other thing I was hoping to get some kind of update on was Final Fantasy VII. We did get it. Not exactly the thing I was looking for, but the Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate is what it's called here. It's got PS5 enhancements for new fog effects, lighting, etc. There's going to be a new chapter as well added with Yuffie as a new playable character. Honestly, John, I was not super impressed with the PS5 versus PS4 screenshots they showed. I actually think some of the PS4 ones looked better. And I get it. It's fog. It's supposed to be a cool effect added into the game. But for me, it kind of messed up the lighting in some of the screenshots. And I think the PS4 ones looked a little bit sharper. Now, again, it's an effect. And when it's actually moving as opposed to like a still screenshot, it probably will look better on the PS5 edition. But it's something that you're really going to end the show on. I don't know if it quite hit that head for me, especially with just one chapter and some updates here and there as far as that PS5 feedback. And I'm sure they'll do controller things and stuff like that that'll take advantage of the haptic triggers and all that good stuff. But yeah, it wasn't the biggest ending that I was hoping for in that showcase.
Yeah, it again, I'll say it was very average. I would argue in some parts, a lot of parts, it was below average. And I'm right there with you. I think in some cases the PS4 models looked better. Yeah, I think it's I think that example is a very oh boy, what's the word I'm looking for? Words are difficult today. It's a very good representation of the overall feel of this state of play. It was like, oh, okay, this looks cool, but wait, that kind of looks good on PS4 a little bit more. Oh, okay, that's kind of exciting. Oh, look, this game is literally dodgeball and hot potato combined in a battle royale format, it feels like. There were several things in there that just was like, yeah, but I feel like that example, Joey, is just goes to show you how mediocre this whole thing was.
Again, I got Returnal. I got Kena. Happy about those two. Final Fantasy, I think that's great. A little bit underwhelming at different times. A couple of things. Crash Bandicoot, so it's multi-platform. Takes a little bit of the sting out of it. But one of the cool things about it is the adaptive trigger usage. They had one line in there. I don't remember what they were talking about. It was a vacuum or what it was. But they kept saying "feel the suck," which to me is not a tagline I would probably run with very far. But they did run with that one for a little bit. Enhanced 3D audio, again, taking advantage of that with the PS5 system. A few other games out here. Sifu was one that some people are kind of hyped about. Knockout City, like you mentioned, the dodgeball game. Solar Ash has got a little bit of hype behind it. But again, a lot of different indie games, a lot of no real big first-party games outside of Returnal, and then the indie game of Kena that's going to be limited exclusive for that PlayStation console, as well as on PC via the Epic Game Store exclusive agreement. Five Nights at Freddy's, what were your thoughts on this one? This to me looked like kind of like BioShock Chuck E. Cheese edition. One of those really creepy looking games, but kind of like cartoonish animation. It stuck out to me, not as something I'd play, but as something I would probably watch over just to like, why am I doing this?
No, I love it. I think it was great. It's a very unique series. It's supposed to be creepy. It's supposed to be weird. I think it did a great job at hitting all of those really awkward key points that series is known for. I think it looked fine. I kind of chuckled a little bit. It was one of the brighter spots, if you will, I think, of the entire state of play.
And then last but not least, the other one I want to touch on is Deathloop. That's going to be a time console exclusive. Again, this one is under that ZeniMax Bethesda umbrella, but Xbox, even if the acquisition does go through, which it should here shortly, will be honoring this exclusive agreement for 1 year exclusivity, with that going to the PlayStation console as a console exclusive. I think this is probably one of the best parts of the show today. I think it looked extremely good. For Sony, it stings a little bit, knowing this is actually an Xbox title, being kind of your highlight of the showcase, outside of Kena, that is. I think it looks good. First-person shooter, brings some cool mechanics with some rewind aspects. Anything that messes with time has some good popularity behind it. So I think this is one of my top three for today alongside Kena and Returnal.
Yeah, I have to agree. Deathloop looks great. I'm very excited for it. And yeah, the PlayStation fanboys are hurt that this is only a 1 year exclusive on PlayStation 5 before it will be released over on PC and Xbox. But yeah, I think it looks great. I think it was definitely, like you said, Joey, one of the highlights of the state of play as well.
And with that, guys, if you want to check out the rest of that state of play, again, it was 10 games, ran about half an hour long. You can go ahead and check that out probably on PlayStation's website. John and I watched it on YouTube as well, so you can catch it there in 4K too. Go ahead and check that action out if you want more details on that or a further look at some of those games. Again, if you haven't seen the trailer, Kena's Bridge of Spirits looks phenomenal. Highly recommend at least checking that one out. Over to some game delays, because it seems like a regular topic on today's show. As we continue to move on with this COVID-19 rampant virus going throughout the world, we continue to see delays in the gaming industry. The vaccine is out there, but we're still going to get some delays while it's continuing to be distributed. So we have Paradox here announcing the Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2, which is quite a mouthful as a title. It will also be delayed. We're looking no longer in 2021. They didn't give a date of when it will be coming out. I think it will be pushed maybe even a couple years, as they are also changing over the lead developer. So Heartstute Labs will no longer be the people overlooking that title. They will be moving on to another project, while a new lead developer that has not been named, at least publicly yet, will be moving in to take over and close out that game. Then this next one, John, it feels like they just cannot catch a break. Time and time again, different things come out, and they continue to get hammered for it. Due to the recent hacking, CD Projekt Red has delayed their next Cyberpunk 2077 patch. This one's going to be patch 1.2, and they just gave no date this time, which I think is a smart move from CD Projekt Red. They've continued to give dates, and they've continued to have to delay. Again, I feel like they've been through so much, and they've made some mistakes at the beginning, but it just needs to end at this point. It feels like there's too many things lining up, and time again, they just get knocked back down. So I do like this move of no date given. Again, they weren't happy about having to announce it. They're not happy about having to do it, to delay this update, this vital update that a lot of people are looking at from a graphic standpoint, especially when it comes to those last-gen consoles, as well as even the graphical update for the next-gen consoles. But they decided to go no date on this one, which I think is probably the best move of all these moves we've seen from them so far.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that patch got hacked also, and is a $1.2 million ransom, which ironically it's patch 1.2. So at least these hackers are well aware of what's going on in the Cyberpunk universe. So there you go. That may or may not be true. I have no facts to back that up.
Yeah, it's just sad. I feel like they've just been through so much. And again, they did some dirty things. I think the way they did not show Xbox One or PS4 footage up front, I think not allowing journalists to even check out those games prior to the launch was a bad move on their part, but they've made some amends here and there. They allowed for the refunds, which I think was a good move. They've pushed patches out to try to improve things here and there, which I think, again, is another good move. Now this one getting delayed, but there were outside factors involved as well. Over to some EA updates. Electronic Arts, everyone's favorite here on the Level Up podcast. EA and BioWare have made the decision to kill off the Anthem Next project. John, I'm very upset about this. I think Anthem really did have a lot of potential. I get it. From a business perspective, Anthem did not launch well. There's going to have to be a lot of turnaround time. They'd have to increase the size of that particular team working on Anthem. I think it was supposed to be 3 times the size of the studio or something is what they're projecting to have to spend on it to get it to launch at a bigger angle. Anthem will no longer be receiving any updates either. So not only are they killing off the new project, the current game will not get any more further updates or live service updates. Again, there might be bug fixes here and there, but it's not going to be new content or anything fresh like that. The servers will remain online for now, but as we've seen with games that are typically killed off, this will only last for probably a couple years, then they'll be shut down as well.
God, what a way for Anthem to go out.
That's where you're going to end on that one?
Yeah, I'm just going to leave it there.
That's where you're going to go out to?
It just sucks because, like, when you think about it, like, remember the hype that was around Anthem? Like, everyone just oohing and eyeing over the graphics. The trailers and everything looks so great. It was something we talked about here on the show multiple times. We were both hyped about it. We both played for it a little bit. And then now it's just kind of like, okay, we're good. We're done. And it makes sense why they're doing it. But there was so much hope for Anthem to be the anti-Destiny, if you will. And Destiny's going to outlive it. It's mind-boggling to think. Put my mind in a bottle. It makes no sense. I don't know. It's weird. Anthem going out. Never saw it.
Yeah, and Nixia brings it up in chat that it has very little potential with Destiny kind of getting rid of sunsetting at this point. Yeah. But it is one of those things that I actually like the core mechanics more of Anthem than I did of Destiny. I thought it felt more fluid. I thought it brought something a little bit more fresh than what we have with Destiny. Kind of stepping into that, in a sense, Iron Man-like suit. The flying mechanics felt really good. The abilities felt really good based on the suit as well. I think the combo actions felt really smooth too. It just felt like the core game mechanics were great in Anthem. It was just the lack of content, which, again, we've made this comparison. It reminds me of Destiny 2 when it first came out. There was nothing to do in the end game. It was like a little bit of a grind, but once you hit maximum gear level, it's over. It's done. Like, what is there to do? Now, for those people who are around for Destiny 1, you're still attached to the IP. You still stick around for a while. For those new players that are much more a minority compared to those coming over from Destiny 1, they decided to fall off a little bit. They waited for the next expansion. They waited to see what would happen. Anthem kind of got in that same system, but the expansions never ended up coming. There was never really that big content drop that people were expecting in the end game. And I think overall, that's what killed it off. But again, core mechanics were there. The gameplay felt good. The environments looked lush. The environment, wildlife was really fun to play around with too. I just felt like the planet itself felt very lively along with those great mechanics. It's just not enough story mode, not enough content in the sense in the end game. You can only run a dungeon so many times. You can only loot so many times. What else is there for me to do? How can I customize my character further? How can I dive into further content and get better at this game? And it just kind of was lacking there in Anthem toward the end. On top of that, though, we do have some more news coming out of EA. This is a little bit more positive, depending how you look at it. In a similar vein of BioWare, they will be going into the next Dragon Age game and making some changes to it. So EA was going to force them into a live service model with Dragon Age. Dragon Age, known for being a great single-player RPG experience. EA coming in here saying, hey, we see a lot of money in live service right now. Let's go ahead and make Dragon Age a live service game. You know, like one of those MMOs like World of Warcraft. So that's what they're going to try to do. They're going to say, hey, BioWare, force your little BioWare magic onto this live service game. It didn't quite work out that way in the end, John, as now after seeing Anthem fail with that same model being pushed onto it, and after seeing the success of Respawn's Jedi Fallen Order, EA is finally stepping back. They're putting down the reins. They're saying, BioWare, go ahead and make it a single-player game if you want to. Let's see if it can become that next Fallen Order in a sense, which it can. The original Dragon Age games as single-player games did phenomenally well before EA ended up buying BioWare. There's no reason they couldn't do well now. I think this is the right move in the end. I think multiplayer would have been interesting in it, but when I think Dragon Age, I don't think MMO. I don't think multiplayer. I think deep story-driven RPG, single-player content. I'm glad we're getting back to those roots here with this franchise.
So, Joe, you're telling me that something was fine before EA touched it, and then now that EA is no longer going to touch it, it's going to go back to being fine again? I mean, I feel like the anti-Midas touch here is EA.
EA has done some questionable things here in the past.
Some? I don't have enough fingers.
I want to say they're making positive moves. I think we're starting to move in good directions. Respawn Entertainment, so as part of these moves that came out, they're giving Respawn full credit to do whatever they want. So your Fallen Order game that did extremely well this past year, Respawn can go ahead and make a sequel and make it however they want it to be. If they want to turn it into an MMO, let them do it. But they don't have to do it based on what EA is telling them. So I think you're going to get some really great experiences from Respawn based on that. Look at the success of Apex Legends, which is up player count. I think they're up like some crazy number year over year. You look at Fallen Order, which sold extremely well even a year after it launched. You have a number of great things coming from Respawn and possibly a Titanfall 3 later down the line if they decide to do it. So again, I think EA is making good moves, but it seems like they have a little bit of a leash on developers early on, even somewhere as successful as BioWare that comes in with Mass Effect doing extremely well, Dragon Age having a great really repertoire of games behind it too. EA likes to have a little bit of power and likes to force their good old Frostbite engine on people early on, and that led to a lot of the issues with Anthem. I mean, Anthem as a game, if you guys look back, I think it's Jason Scheer who read up all the reports. That game, it really went into like final development like a year and a half into that game, or a year and a half left before it launched. There were so many changes and so many issues with that Frostbite engine, from leadership turnover to the engine not working the way they were expecting it to, but it was all forced upon by EA. That became a huge issue, and you saw how it ended up with Anthem. So while EA still has a lot of room to go, in my opinion, I think we're starting to see them allow for a little bit more flexibility with these studios. I think they're starting to build up that relationship with players a little bit better. I think they have a very long way to go, especially with the way they treat Nintendo Switch players in FIFA games. But we are starting to see a little bit of progress from that Electronic Arts side. Additionally, now after I made that comment, we do have to step it back a little bit because EA has decided to cancel a project that they showed this summer. I believe it was the second time they showed it, and that is Gaia. It's a new IP that has been in development by EA Motive for 5 years now. So yeah, that happened. A game that has been, again, in development. We're looking at a handful of years, something that a lot of time has been put in, time, love, energy by these developers, and they've decided to can it 5 years after. There was some leadership turnover. There was some issues here and there, but EA pulling the plug on that one.
Okay, Joey, just out of curiosity, Nixia brings up a great hypothetical here. She says, if EA buys Xbox, Joey buys a PlayStation 3 days later. True or false?
No, not true. Okay, timeout.
There was a
If
hesitation.
anyone is going to
there.
buy anyone, Nixia, you think EA is going to buy Microsoft?
It's a
You as high as a kite.
hypothetical. It's a hypothetical.
I mean, I have nothing against PlayStation. I think Sony creates some amazing third-person action adventure games. I'm someone who likes to play a variety of games. I don't like just sticking into that genre. Again, The Last of Us, amazing looking, great gameplay. Ghost of Tsushima, easily my game of the year. I never played it, but watched a ton of streams on it. I think PlayStation is phenomenal when it comes to those single-player action adventure games. Absolutely. Am I going to go out and buy a console just for those? As someone who plays 90% of things multiplayer, I'm looking for more multiplayer approaches. I can get plenty of those on PC. I have an Xbox for the sport game aspect. I like the platform aspect that I get from the Game Pass on console as well. So no, I really don't have too much of a reason to go out there and buy PlayStation. Now, again, I don't agree with EA's business practices at times. I think I can't even say that they're going to buy Xbox because it's so absurd to me. But if it were to happen, I think I would debate how I would move forward there in the console space, if at all. But it is one of those things that I do not see happening, even hypothetically. So I'm not going to think too long and hard on that one.
So the answer is 4 days, Nixia. It'll be 4 days before he buys the PlayStation.
Absolutely, 4 days. 4 days, PlayStation will be running Windows. We'll see what happens.
Oh, no. God.
Oh, my gosh. We'll see. I would not be surprised if EA eventually gets bought by someone bigger. I do not think that will happen, though, with Google and Amazon continuing to pull investments. I think if Google and Amazon did invest a lot more in studios, we could see someone like an Amazon or a Google or a Microsoft picking up EA. But with Google kind of shooting themselves in the foot, with Amazon limping a bit with some of their releases, I don't know if we see EA being picked up anytime soon. What else we got here, John? Just a couple more things here and there. The latest Inside Infinite blog, for those of you who are Halo Infinite fans or prospective Halo Infinite fans, all of you in chat will be playing Halo Infinite with me, whether you like it or not. It's free to play. It's going to release just about everywhere, including your mobile phones. I'm really excited for this one. It did drop right before the show, so John and I have not had a chance to read it yet, but it's focusing on bringing life to Zeta Halo, which is where the game will be played. That's anything from like flora and fauna, the different plants, the way the grass is going to look, the different creatures running around. The day and night cycle is something that really caught my attention, John. I did post some pictures on Discord, discord.me/OTN, by the way. What were your thoughts on that? That to me really caught my eye. The ability, and it looked like, I think it was like 10 different screenshots there where they do show the game and how it changes with the sun moving to different directions over the course of the day. And I love how the skybox changes. I love the shadowing, the lighting. I think that in particular really caught my attention.
T-Rod said you're going to force everyone to install it on their computers, kind of like how U2 forced their new album being installed on all the new iPhones several years ago. I completely forgot U2 did that. I remember like everyone's like, I hate U2. U2's a crap
and it had
band.
that like super provocative cover too, didn't it?
I don't remember. I don't even
I'm pretty
care.
sure it had like this provocative cover, and like I don't remember if it was my mother or aunt or someone. Like someone's like, "Who the heck put this on my phone?"
Oh, so I've got to look this up. Hold on.
Yeah, do not pull that up on the podcast here. But go ahead and look it up on your side.
Let's see how bad
I'm pretty sure it was a little sketchy looking because I think I had older relatives like, "Did you put this on my phone?"
Oh my gosh, dude, Joey, take a guess what year that U2 did that.
It was what, like 6 years ago, 7 years ago?
Oh my God, it was 2014.
Yeah, it's like 6 or 7 years. That's pretty close.
Okay, first off, that cover's not that bad. It's a dude hugging a dude around the waist. His head's pressed against his belly. Is it really that bad in comparison to some of the other stuff we've seen?
Oh yeah, I'm not making any comparisons here. I'm just saying, for that just to be uploaded, especially on younger or older people's phones that might not be expecting something like that, it could give grandma a stroke, or it could make some little kid like, what the? Yeah, it's just, if I'm remembering it the way I think I'm remembering it, it is definitely something that could have caught some people by surprise. Dana's trying to get us banned on Twitch over here.
You guys want to see it real quick? Hold on a second. I'll pull it up real quick. Let's go ahead and... No, I'm not going to pull it up. Joey would fire me.
What is that? Nightbot? He can't pull it up? Oh, good. Okay. Thanks, Nightbot. I knew you'd come in handy one day, outside of just banning T-Spans for spamming things. Yeah, that is one of those interesting things, though, John. And I think that I don't think I'll be forcing Halo Infinite in that way. I mean, T-Spans could probably design some kind of virus to force it on people like that. But that is not something I will be exploring, at least for now. I think you guys will willingly download it because I think it's going to be a fun experience. But yeah, we'll bring more on that, guys, on Monday. I'll have time to dive into that blog. I'll make John read the blog. Probably have him download it, too. I kid. I'll put it on his phone for him with a YouTube cover.
Who says I don't have that album downloaded already? Hello.
Oh, hello. Some upcoming news, guys. Outriders, again, we talked about it earlier on in the year. It's one of those hyped up games. It reminds me a little bit of like Revenant from the Ashes meets Destiny 2 in space type of action. It kind of looks cool. It looks like a very interesting experience. 4 classes. I don't remember what they are. One is like Trickster. One is like Pyro something. Pyromancer would be my guess. I think you have like your standard tanky brawler type class. And then maybe some kind of like Meiji support class, if I remember correctly. But that one is free. I believe it's on PC, PlayStation, and Xbox with the demo. You guys can go ahead and check that out. It lets you play through the prologue and the first level. And then from there, it's done. That's the end of the beta. But if you do end up buying the game, which will launch on April 1st, no joke there, actually. It will actually be launching on April 1st. That game will come out and it will carry over your progress from that beta if you so choose to as well. I'm actually pretty stoked to try this one out, John. I think it looks really fun. I got Revenant from the Ashes pretty late compared to everyone else. I think I got it free on the Epic Store. And I dove into it. It was a fun experience, but no one was really playing it anymore. So I think with this one being a little bit new, if it does feel good mechanically, I would probably consider diving into this one. Maybe if not up front, when it comes to a sale here later in the summer. A Pokemon Presents video presentation, sticking with the Nintendo and Sony theme of announcing things just a few hours before they actually happen. This one's going to be kicking off, oh my gosh, I have that date wrong, February 265th at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. I'm guessing that's tomorrow, February 26th at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. So if you guys want to check that one out, get up nice and early in the morning, depending where you live. For those Californians over there, it's going to be a little early in the morning at 7 a.m. But you can dive into that. I have no idea what this is going to include. It could be new DLC for a Pokemon game. I don't know if Pokemon Sleep has launched yet. It could be something more in that aspect. Maybe a new Pokemon popping up in Pokemon Go. I really don't know. Pokemon kind of does their own thing, but you're going to get something Pokemon related. It's a big anniversary year. It's like, is it the 25th anniversary or 35th anniversary? Do you remember? 25th, I think.
It's something like that. Yeah, I think it's 25th.
I think it's 25th. So big anniversary year for Pokemon. You're going to get a lot of great content. And this one in particular, you can wake up in the morning for tomorrow to hear. And we'll talk about it on the show on Monday if you don't catch it as well.
Tomorrow's the 265th day of February.
Yeah. Some of us make typos here and there. Quiet down, chat. Virtual Pokemon concert. If you guys want to check out Post Malone and his new hit that just dropped. Who was it, John? It was Hootie and the Blowfish. What song was it?
I Only Want to Be With You.
I Only Want to Be With You. That one went ahead and dropped as a single earlier today, and there will be possibly more of those, as well as some Katy Perry action with a little bit of Roar, like your Arcanine and Pokemon coming out here. The concert itself will be held on February 27th. Grab a drink, grab a friend, enjoy that action. 7 p.m. Eastern time on that one. Should be a fun time hearing some good Pokemon music, some Post Malone covers, probably some good speakers and other guest artists as well there.
So February 275th.
In-depth look at the new Smash Brothers Ultimate DLC fighter. That's going to be Pyrrha and Mithra, a little combo character similar to what we see with Zelda and Sheik, heading to your Switch consoles on March. This is not true. Heading to a area where you can watch a show about it, possibly heading to your Switch consoles later on. That's going to be March 4th at 9 a.m. Eastern time. We do not know the date of when the next fighter will drop as of yet publicly. That will be announced in this particular update. So if you guys want to check out more information on what the kit's going to look like for that character, when the eventual drop will happen as well, that's going to be March 4th at 9 a.m. Eastern time to get more information. Okay, last but not least, John, we got to dive a little bit into some League of Legends, a little LEC and LCS, not to hit on it too long. We're going to go ahead and preview the matches for this week, just give you a match of each league, and then we're also going to dive a bit into this Schalke 04 for the German soccer fans out there. They're also in esports. You're probably here for the esports, not for the German soccer, but we're a combo deal. You get both. Schalke 04 may have to part ways with their LEC team if their soccer team is relegated due to revenue concerns for the organization. Schalke has had to deal with the following in the past year. Guys, this is a fun list. COVID-19, remember that big thing going around? Well, they had to deal with that. On top of that, their president had to resign due to a scandal. They had 200 million in debt as of last year, and they've had poor results in the Bundesliga this year, not only losing to Bayern Munich, but losing to just about everyone over there in the Bundesliga, currently sitting in last. So, given all those circumstances, I think you guys can understand why a potential sell-off might be on the table. The LEC spot is estimated to be worth around $20 to $25 million at the moment. So quite a nice chunk of change there. Again, not 200 million, not getting over COVID million, but it is a little bit of a chunk of change to help with that a little bit if they do have to sell. Now, overall, from the organizational standpoint, Schalke does not want to have to sell. They really like the growth they've seen from the esports team. It's been doing better, not only from a record standpoint, but also from a fan engagement standpoint, really picking up good numbers on social media, picking up more and more fans, selling more jerseys. It's really been on a good upswing, and they don't want to have to get rid of that. But again, if you have 200 million debt, if you have these other issues going on, there are certain times that may force your hand into a sale that you might not necessarily want. And that could be what eventually happens here with Schalke 04.
The hot take. Yes, I want Schalke relegated 100%. As a Bayern fan, as a German Bundesliga fan, I could not be happier that Schalke is going to be relegated. What I'm not happy about is I think if they do end up selling their esports team, I think that's going to be a huge issue. Like it's going to hurt. You know, Schalke 04 has been around in the LEC for a while now. They put up a competitive team. They're a well-known team. They have a decent following now. Seeing them bow out of the LEC, if they were to sell it, I think would be a huge loss for the gaming and esports world. Not so much for their soccer team, but for their esports program. I'd be more sad about their esports program being sold than I would their organization being relegated to the second division.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's really sad, especially with the team that has put money into the scene. You also look at it, and again, we had the big conversation last week about the imports coming into the LCS, with owners wanting to be able to import more players as opposed, well, depending how you look at it. They said they would invest more in national talent if they were allowed to have imports. Again, doesn't really make much sense if you actually think of it logically, but it was one of those things that was stated. Coming from the LEC, Schalke has done a really good job of bringing up those young players. Neon, an AD carry, young player, really good upstart that has come into that team. A number of other ones. Abadage in the mid lane is another young player who's really found a name for himself within that club's organization. So they've done a good job of investing in those young European players, not paying an arm and a leg to get them, but bringing them up, fostering them as young talent, and eventually turning them into potential superstars later down the line. Schalke, again, the fan engagement numbers are up. They've really made good roads there in the esports scene. I would hate to see them have to go. Yeah, it's a bit of a bummer, but we'll go ahead and keep you guys updated on that, what that ends up looking like if Schalke has to sell the spot, who those potential suitors right now. On top of that, the LEC is even looking at possibly expanding as well. So currently having 10 teams in that league, they could eventually look at moving to a 12-team league. They currently are franchised as of last year or the year before. But another thing that could come up as the league continues to expand, if they do go that way, is a possible relegation system too. So we'll have to see what ends up happening. We'll keep you updated on that. But for now, keep Schalke in your prayers. They need a little bit of money over there. And we'd like to see that esports team continue to thrive with their young players. Okay, so pulling up this LOL esports website, let's jump on over to the standings of the LEC. How are we looking standing-wise? And then we'll dive into some matchups that look great for us this week.
All right, so in the LEC, fun stuff here. Rogue in first place, 2-way tie with G2 Esports, 9-2. Mad Lions in third, 7-4. SK Gaming and Fnatic 6-5 in fourth place. In sixth place, because who doesn't love a tie more than Europe? Excel and Schalke 04 doing better than their football club at 5-6 in sixth place. Eighth place, 2-way tie, Astralis and Misfits Gaming, 3-8. And in last place, doing their best impression of Schalke 04 football team in the German Bundesliga in last, 2-9 for Team Vitality.
Team Vitality looking to need some more vitals, or maybe get their vitals checked after these last couple weeks. Not looking the cleanest, Sean. Over to the schedule, though, for this week. Is there a matchup in particular that stands out to you?
Okay, I just had to remod you real quick there because I didn't realize when I was...
wow, live modding going on.
Live modding right there for you. Joey, I'm going to go with the sexy matchup. I'm going to go with Reckless's return to Fnatic 2.0. there on Saturday the 27th, 3 p.m. Eastern time as G2 Esports takes on Fnatic. I do believe Fnatic got the best of Reckless in round 1. Now Reckless out for double the blood here at Coming Home 2.0. I'm expecting another emo banger coming out from the casters there in the LEC too.
Yeah, Fnatic whooped Reckless's little Swedish booty the first time around. He did not have a good game at all. Fnatic really smashed them. And G2, they had some connectivity issues supposedly here and there. It didn't affect them in other matchups, but in that Fnatic matchup, it had that effect. We'll see how that ended up going. I think Fnatic would have won either way. G2 could have played on fiber optics for all I care about. I think Fnatic just had a better game plan going into that. With that being said, in this matchup, John, I expect the booty whooping to go the other way. I think G2 will be the one holding the belt in this particular matchup. Fnatic looked like trash last week. They did not look good at all. They had bad drafts. Communication looked off. It did not look clean in any way. Now moving into a big matchup like this, again, they do have a warm-up matchup in the week. They do play Astralis earlier on. I think they'll come out with a win there. But heading into G2, it's one of those matchups that everyone has really got to be on their game for both sides. And I think G2 probably gets the better and splits the series here. One other matchup to look at for me is on day one. It's not quite as exciting as a Fnatic G2 top of the table matchup, but Misfits and XL will be going up against each other. Two teams that are looking right around that last playoff spot range. I would say, I think one of them will probably end 6th and the other slightly below at 7 or 8. So this is one to look at for possibly that last playoff spot. How are these teams shaping up midway through the spring split? Over to the LCS here for standings. Thank you, Tab, for loading. We have Cloud9 flying high above like a cloud in the sky, 7-2. Under them is Team Solo Mid, Dignitas, and 100 Thieves. 100 Thieves stealing a few wins last week, and TSM finally coming alive there in the mid lane, sitting at 6-3 in that second spot. Evil Geniuses still plotting their way to the top, but good enough to be in playoffs at the moment, sitting with Liquid at 5-4. Immortals not looking quite as lively as we'd hope from them. They're sitting at 7th at 4-5. FlyQuest still questing their way to the top, 3-6. The Golden Guardians and their young roster still fighting along. They're at 2-7, so a little bit better than people projected. And then Counter Logic Gaming continuing to counter the logic of any kind of analyst, not looking like a great team, but they do have Broxa back and they do have a win in the book. CLG sitting at 1-8 and hoping Broxa can bring some magic as they head into the new week. Over to the schedule for the LCS, John. Which matchup is on your slate to watch this week on either, I believe it's 3 days the LCS runs now, Friday through Sunday, so plenty of good matchup action to choose from. What stands out to you?
Tons and tons to watch here. On day one, I'm going to have to give it to Team Liquid and TSM. Team Liquid coming off of a massive win against Cloud9 last week. It was that matchup that I picked out here for you, saying that Team Liquid looking for a bounce back game, had to go up against Cloud9. Cloud9 really starting to run away with the split so far. Team Liquid able to put their talent to the Rift and take it to Cloud9 and pick up that win. I look forward for them to continue their momentum against a TSM team that started the split probably as bad as you possibly could, and then has just been on an absolute tear ever since. TSM is a very hot team at the moment, being led there by Bjergsen, legendary mid laner for TSM, and now as head coach. Team Liquid looking to continue that role against another hot team against TSM on day one.
Yeah, honestly, I think Liquid's going to have a really tough time in this matchup in particular. I think TSM is looking really hot right now, finally starting to click. Liquid, it feels like a coin flip before they go into every match. If Jensen's going to pop off, if they're going to look really good as a team, Tactical and Core JJ, lots of potential there in the bot lane. Alfari is a big upgrade in top. But overall, the roster is just not quite clicked in back-to-back matchups yet. You've had a couple like real style upon the opponent matchups and a couple really get styled upon matchups for Team Liquid. And it seems like they're still trying to find the balance between the two. Hopefully going into this up against a top contender, Liquid is able to bring the heat and really make for an exciting matchup. But I think it is one of those that TSM could just ride that momentum while Liquid is kind of faltering still. And it could be an ugly game for Team Liquid. Other than that, John, I think one other that could stick out here, just making sure there's not any others. Yeah, two more actually. So I think both the Cloud9 matchups here, Cloud9 up against Evil Geniuses on day 2, your Saturday matchup. And then Cloud9 up against 100 Thieves on Sunday. Cloud9 being one of those teams, John, like you said, looking really good, sitting at the top of the table, but they have faltered a bit. We saw it with Liquid. 100 Thieves is one of those potentially top 4 teams, as is EG. And I think when you look toward the top of the table here for NA, it's going to be how do these teams match up against one another? Can we get a preview of a possible upset come playoff time. This is where you could potentially see that and continue to see how Perks fits himself into that Cloud9 roster between these matchups.
Yeah, it's going to be a big week for Cloud9. They do have that warm-up game against Golden Guardians on day one, but Evil Geniuses and 100 Thieves are going to be a very tough matchup for Cloud9. This is where we're going to be able to see, is Cloud9 and Perks in the mid lane the hype that everyone has made it out to be? Is the $1 million man in mid lane going to finally pay off when it's when the heat's on in the kitchen? We're going to find out this week. Evil Geniuses and 100 Thieves against Cloud9 is going to be a very, very good series. Really, any Cloud9 game except for day one would probably be a really good one to catch this weekend.
Absolutely. So one definitely to look forward to there, as well as these LEC matchups on top of all these great game updates. Again, guys, if you want to check out Outriders before it drops in April, you do have that demo now live. You got your Pokemon Presents action tomorrow on Friday, and then that virtual Pokemon concert with Post Malone coming a day later on Saturday. A lot of great action ahead for this weekend for gamers and esports fans. Speaking of music, you now see my co-host nodding around, not because he's listening to the new Post Malone song, but because he's trying to find that soundtrack to give us a nice little outro as we wrap up today's show.
Is this like really not going? Hold on a second. There it is. All right. We did it. Thank you, soundboard, for finally working. All right. That was fantastic, Nation. And because that was fantastic, we're going to end it on a high note. That will do it for this edition of Level Up Live. But before you go, head on over to patreon.com/OTN and consider becoming a part of the Overtime Network. In return, you will get access to exclusive content that nobody else in the world can get unless they are a part of OTN Media. If you haven't already done so, make sure you follow the show here on Twitch to catch the next episode of Level Up Live. If you listen to the show on our podcast feed, please leave us a review. Level Up Podcast is available on Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, and Google Play. We would love to hear from you. In fact, we love to hear from our community so much there are other ways you can reach out to us. Joey, what are those ways?
Level Up Nation, head on over to Twitter and find us at Level Up Live. That is LVL UP Live. In addition to that, you can follow the umbrella company OTN Media on Twitter and Facebook as well at OTN Media, and on Instagram at OTN_media. Last but not least, hit us up with a follow, maybe even a Twitch Prime sub over here on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/OTN Media. This show, the Level Up Podcast, Mondays and Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, as well as a number of other streams throughout the week.
All right, make sure you tune in this upcoming Monday, March the 1st, as we cover the latest and greatest in gaming and esports news. Do your ears and eyes a favor. Hit that follow and sub button here on Twitch to know when the next episode of Level Up Live is ready for your viewing pleasures. We'll catch you all on Monday. Have a great weekend. Remember, be nice to your fellow gamers online. And as always, level up.
Where did all our time go? Where we are, no one knows. Maybe San Francisco. Oh. Maybe San Francisco. Oh. We could roll down all our windows, just see where the wind blows. One leg out the window, sit like a flamingo. Oh. Sit like a flamingo. Oh. You can run, you can hide, you can look and try to find. Take a breath, open your mind, take it one day at a time. You can run.